Saying from the Wildflower Bee Farm. 10 days into the attack, I decide to add an entrance reducer, homemade. You can see it there, where I add this to the entrance, probably cutting it by 50%. You can see that the bees are somewhat invigorated. They're fighting back, although you still see robbers entering the hive. And remember, robbers are those that have the back of their abdomens pretty much worn out by being dragged around as they rob hives. They're professional robbers. So the idea was that, probably too little too late. You can see that there's not as many bees out front, but at least this may give them a bit of a fighting chance. And when I lifted up part of this hive, there still was weight to it, so that the bees were still having some stores, but obviously not as many as they had before. So it's getting pretty grim. This is sort of the judgment day as we move into the next few days with this. And you can see some of the bees are coming out. Now they're also exploring. So the problem with adding a entrance reducer and messing with nature, they now have a new entrance sort of thing to explore, look at, try. And so those instincts kick in, which in the end may have not only been too little too late, but may have also pushed them into a sort of a anxious frustration, which led to even more quickly a demise. I'm not sure, but I can tell you that there's very little literature. There you see the bees fighting and dragging out some others. Now they're under attack again. They almost come in waves, these attacks. We've noticed that they'll be calm and then all of a sudden they'll just get swamped with bees, almost like a swarm of attackers, which makes it more difficult to defend. You still see some propolis at the front. You'll see the odd wasp fly through. Remember, robbers get used to going in, and some of them will be a bit confused by the change in the entrance, but the question is, will this be enough? You can see that they continue to check entrances, and even though there are no bees coming in with any pollen, their instincts of checking continually happens, and I think as a result may lead to their demise. Now you can see them fighting there, see them grabbing a bee. So even though this is the 10th day, their instincts of some of the guards continues to fight, and it's quite unbelievable. Let's see what happens the next day. Now on day 11, you can see things are looking a bit more grim. You see the beetle in front sitting there. You'll see other flies come in. You see the robbers coming in at will. There are fewer bees to protect the entrance, and it looks like this hive is in serious trouble. So I think, well, maybe I'll add some more help. Too little too late, but I try anyway. On the 12th day, I add another entrance reducer, which makes it almost, impossible for bees to get in without, getting through others. And you can see the wasps and others are circling. You're going to see the hornet there coming in, and usually when we see that black bald-headed hornet, that's usually a sign of a hive that's had it. And the bees are able to, I think the hornet's coming up and just looking, saying, man, that's a tight entrance. So obviously if we had gone to this extent initially, we may have been able to help them, but the problem is this hive didn't demonstrate some of the behavior we have witnessed in other hives, where they do the pile-on or the huddle-up technique, where they basically simply put a group of bees over an entrance and block it from bees when they're robbing in that wave that we just saw in that previous video. These bees appear to not have that behavior understood or in their instincts, so they're trying to fight, but they didn't use their that huddle-up technique or that piling on that we saw on the entrances of some of our other hives while they're under attack. So that instinct probably harmed them significantly. Day 15 is the final day. So it took 15 days for robbers and pests and hornets to do in this hive. You can see all of the debris in the front, primarily propolis, which is quite an interesting finding. You could argue, well, why don't you open up this hive? There's day 25, and you can see now it's being taken over by ants and other pests. There are no bees left. In lifting this hive, there are absolutely no resources left. It looks like the ants carried out a bee. There you can see the bee on the entranceway. And so this hive is now empty. It'll be empty till the spring. We will remove the entrance reducers that I put on in the spring and have them go back to being the way it was. And hopefully we'll either install a hive or a hive will choose to swarm to move into this hive. So what did we learn from this? Well, a great deal. Number one, it probably didn't matter that I put obviously the entrance reducers in. It was just sort of a last attempt to try to help things, which didn't make any difference. Two, bees need to learn to fight off attacks because they happen regularly in nature. And probably number three, the bees that were attacked, it was quite the strategies we saw and how the bees were able to continually, the robbers, continually pose an attack on this hive. Now you could ask, well, what caused the attack? Why was this hive attacked? Well, there was a swarm, a small swarm, which probably reduced the population. The queen may have failed. But you see, if you open up a hive at this point of the year to look and see, you break all the propolis, and certainly any attacks will happen when you open that top of that box. So, and there really isn't anything you can do about it. So opening the hive really wouldn't help us in this case. I'm Hank from the Wildflower Bee Farm. We lost this hive, but we learned a great deal. And hopefully some of the bees with their pruning and preening techniques are becoming part of other hives through drones who met up with queens. And hopefully those hives also have that learned behavior of how to prevent attacks by robbers. You have an amazing day, and we'll talk soon.